Hey everyone, welcome to my new 3D platformer series. This one's going to be focusing on building the fundamentals for a 3D platformer, such as moving platforms, character double jump crouch, a level select screen. We're going to go very in depth on what we can alter and add in to this project. So before we get started, if you enjoy this series, feel free to hit that subscribe button, join the Discord, or just comment for any type of feedback or requests that you may have. I'd love to create new series that people would love, so just let me know. And yeah, let's dive right into this. This video is going to be on moving platforms, getting them to move, and then have the ability to turn them on and off. We're not going to utilize the on and off specifically in this video, but later on we are going to implement some features that are going to want to turn it off, such as like using a key to open a door or a key just to activate something, or stepping on a button that's going to cause it to move and then move back. So yeah, let's get it started. So the first step is to create your new project. If you don't have your own project already, go ahead and just make a third-person template. This will give you all the basic functionalities that you'll need and that I will be starting off with as well. If you already have your own project, don't worry about it. All right, so let's go into creating our platform. What we're going to need to do is create a new folder. So if you're under your content drawer, what is it? Control space opens and closes it if you don't have it docked. Go to new folder. We're going to name this platforms. We're going to centralize all of our platforms into this folder specifically. And going into here, we need to now create our platform. So right click, go to blueprint class, and then we're going to open up for actor. Naming convention is going to be BP for blueprint underscore platform. And then for this one, we're going to name this platform parent. All of our platforms are going to stem from this one. So whether you have ice, spikes, any other variations that you'll want, you'll be able to make a child of this one. And then they'll all have the basic functionalities of moving and things of that nature. So let's go ahead, open up this platform. And we are going to need 3 different meshes. I'm going to go into why that is the case, but first let's just create them. So mesh, duplicate this. The top one we're going to name as end mesh. Actually, before we do this, let's create this one first, name it platform. Make our lives a little easier. And we're going to turn this into a cube. Scroll out a little. And then make sure the scalings are pretty low just to make it a little easier. Pressing R so I automatically go into the scaler, and then reduce this. I want to flatten this. All right, that's good. And then from there, I'm going to Control V and duplicate. Just makes it a little easier. And then from here, we're going to name this end. Oop, forgot to click. End mesh. Here, we're going to do start mesh, and then drag the platform into the start mesh. This is very important when it comes to moving. And then now let's go into our event graph. Let's see. We're going to get rid of these because we don't need those. And then we're going to go into starting off from the begin play. What we need is not event play. We're going to make a custom event, moving event. This is what it's going to call for all of our platforms. They're all going to have a moving event. On begin play, we want to call the moving event. And from here, we're going to want to create a timeline. I'm going to name this moving. Name it whatever you would like. Let's open this up. And we're going to go ahead and track a float track. Name it whatever you'd like. And then from here, we're going to add a key. make sure it is at 1, add a key, and set this to 1, 1. And then let's just turn this into user. User. Awesome. So now you'll see it has a nice little curve to it, which will be pretty nice for us. And now we can see where it would go from 0 to 1. So no matter what the time is, from the beginning to the end, it will smoothly transition. Perfect. That's what we need to do for there. So we shouldn't have to go into that anymore. From here, let's see. Okay, cool. We have it. What we need to do is for our moving platform, we want it to where it's going to move to one direction. And then once that completes, it's going to have to reverse back to the other end. So we're never going to connect directly to the play. We want to be able to play from the start position. So wherever it spawns at, you want to start it from there. It's going to move to its end location. And then once that does, it's going to then call for the reverse from end. So that is what's going to have it reverse the other direction. With that, we're going to need to promote this to a variable. And we'll leave that as direction under finished. And then when it's done moving, we want it to call the moving event once more. So what's going to happen is that when this timeline finishes moving the platform, it's going to then set this into the opposite direction. Or not the opposite direction. It's going to set it to the current direction that it finished. And then it's going to call this again. And then upon this, we're going to want it to switch to go to the other side. And by doing that, we're going to be using a switch. So we're going to switch on, what is it? Timeline? Yeah, timeline direction. And then for here, this is where we're going to plug in our direction variable. All right. And then what we want to do is that if it currently finished going forward, so it went to its start position to its end position, we want it now to switch to go to the opposite. So now that it finished going forward, you now want it to start from the end and then go back to the start position. And then just like that, the opposite is going to happen for the backward. If it just finished going back to its start location, you want it to now go to its end location. So just a lot of flipping and going back and forth. And then you always want to do play from start and not play. And then the next thing is for direction. We want it to start off with backwards. The reason for that is if you hit forwards, it's going to automatically connect into the reverse from end. So we don't want it to start from its end position. The next thing is we need to actually get it to move our platform. And then this is where our meshes come in handy. So what we'll need to do is on update, we want to set world transform, sorry, not transformation, and then select on platform. What we're going to do is we are going to move this platform mesh back and forth from the start mesh and the end mesh. That was the important key here. There's another alternative that we'll be implementing later, which is going to be along a spline. So if you want more advanced movements, that is going to be great for that, such as moving to different locations along a spline. And then if you wanted to rotate, this is going to be specifically for a one-time movement. We are going to have both in this project, but I like to start with the parent having the very simple movements because not everything is going to be moving about like 6 different times and then rotating. a lot of the times you want like spikes. If they are moving, they're going up and down, left to right, things like that. So it's I found it a little bit better to have the moving event set to having a very simple moving, and then you can add complex later. All right, and then how we actually set this is, let's move this around. We are going to need our start mesh, our end mesh, and we are going to need the world transform. And the reason we need the world transform is we want to know where it's at in the world. We don't want to get the relative, because I think there is relative transform, because it's just going to get the relative in the actor itself. All right, and then we're going to need one of these for the end mesh as well. Let's connect that. And we're going to want to lerp these like so. Move that over. Alpha is what's going to be connecting to here. Adding some reroute nodes, double clicking. Ooh, come on. There we go. Move that down. And then we're going to connect this into here. All right, so what this should do is it'll have the platform move from the start, and then it's going to go to the end mesh. And then on the reverse, it's going to go from end to start. All right, so let's actually go into the world. Let's put in this parent. And then the reason I put the end mesh at the top. Oh, actually, I didn't put it at the top. Oh, it is at the top. Oh, I guess for here, it just put it at the bottom anyways. But for here, what you'll want to do is the actor. Once you click on it, you want to go to details, go to end mesh. Make sure you select on the end mesh and then drag it. And then now we'll see it over here. What this should do is that at the start of the game, it should then start moving and back. Oh, okay. So one important thing that was left out is we didn't set the play rate of it. So what we'll need to do is control how fast that's going to be moving. So let's actually, from here, create a new float variable, play rate, float. No, we don't need to set it there. Let's, from here, drag this off, get, and then we also want to get the moving timeline. Set play rate. Plug that into here. Let's set the default to 5. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, so it's moving, but clearly moving at a ridiculous speed. Look at that. Woo. Okay, let's try to debug what's going on here. Okay, so we are setting the play rate. 5. Okay, let's divide by 1. Okay. That should knock it down a bit so it's not going at a ridiculous speed. Let's try here. There we go. Okay. That's what was missing. And then now we'll see that it is going at through 5 seconds. But we'll also note it's not reversing. Direction, it's on backwards. We are moving through in alpha. We got the world transform. Set world transform. Forward is connected. We are setting the direction. Direction is in fact backwards. All right, let's see. Switch on timeline direction. Oh, length 1. My apologies. This was set to 5. Let's see if that fixes it. There we go. Okay. So my bad, it was because I messed up the timeline, but with that we should be good. Now we have a moving platform. Now you'll notice the other thing. Look at these platforms. The start mesh and the end mesh are still here. And we definitely don't want that. So what we'll need to do is make sure that they're not visible in the game. Just very quick. Let's go with hidden. Which will solve one of our problems. If we hit here, we'll notice that they're not there anymore. But we'll notice that in our editor, they're still there. So the start mesh is still there. So if we were to drag the platform, we see that it's visible. Now what we can do is we can just add an invisible mesh. Or not a visible mesh, an invisible material. And then that way we could get it to not show up. So let's actually get started in doing that right now. In your content drawer, let's add, under platforms, let's add new folder, material. Open this up. We'll do am for material, invis. From here, under blend mode, change this to mask. And then we want to turn this into a parameter. And set that to 0. And then let's see, we don't want shadows. We don't really want it to do anything. That should be good. I don't think you touch anything. Apply. All right. We'll go into here. Change these into invis. So now we won't see them here, but that brings us to another problem. How do we know exactly what position it's going to get to? So the next thing is to create another material, which is going to be kind of this faded red thing that I got inspiration from another tutorial where they had moving platforms. And we'll go into creating that right now. Open the content drawer, go into material, M for material. We're going to name this, what would be a good name? Let's go with just red mesh right now. Open this up. From here, we're going to want to, let's see, let's do similar, change this to mask. We don't need any shadows. Promote to parameter. Let's just change this to oh, didn't mean to do that. Just trying to change the name. Opacity. let's together 0.5 and put that in there. All right, so now we see that it's partially invis, but not fully. And then the next, let's just add another parameter. Just gonna name it base. And then let's turn this into a bit of a red. That's kind of pink, to be honest. What about that? Okay. Saving that. Closing here. Oh, hold on. Apply, save. All right. So now that we have that, we need to be able to see this, but at the same time, we want it to be invisible as well. Um, let's go back to our platform under construction script. We're going to grab the start end mesh. We're going to make it so that we can actually toggle through showing it visible and making it invisible. We're going to want to create a new variable called show start end mesh. Make this a bool. Get this branch. What we are going to do is we are going to toggle through having this either being the invis material or the red mesh material. So that way, if you ever need to see it in your world, you can select on it. If you want to just be invisible, just have it off. So with this, we're going to set material. If this is true, we want it to be the red mesh. And then if it's false, we want this to be the invis mesh. Or invis, yeah. Connect these here. Connect these here. All right. So now if it is true or false, it'll go ahead and switch through. What we should have, another clear thing, we need to make this editable. So instance editable. Same thing with our play rate over here so that we can control it. And then now you'll see under defaults, we will have play rate and show end mesh. If we select on this, it should become visible. It's a bit more orange and not really red, but nonetheless, it still works out. So you can toggle through and know exactly where it's going to go. And the other cool thing about this is that if this actually was to scale, let's do that. Awesome. So we'll notice that this is clearly very different. If we hit play, it will actually transform as it gets to that location. This is one of the coolest things that I saw about using a timeline this way. That I don't remember who made the tutorial, but they showed ways to doing this, and it was quite fantastic. So with that, that gives us a moving platform that can shape as well. And before we end this video, we have one last thing. We need to make it so that we can turn this on and off. It's actually very simple for us to do. Let's move this over this way. Let's do a branch. And we promote this to a variable. And we'll name this can move. So as long as can move is there, then we'll be able to move the platform. I like to set the default to on so that it can move. However, if you have a lot of platforms that are going to be added that aren't actually going to move, you can go ahead and just toggle that off. we'll add other functionalities. So not everything is going to be required to move, but nonetheless, that is all we need to do. And then lastly, instance editable. All right, so that gives us a moving platform. We can also add in other things. Rotate this. Get this end mesh, move it over here. And we'll see that it can move. And we'll start. And look at that. There's a few things that will need to go into the character, such as look at this. It's moving and nothing's happened to the character. So a few things to look into for our next videos. If I move, it's okay. This was an issue that took me a while to figure out, but found a nice quick fix. So look forward to the next video of the series. Well, we'll look into creating some things for the character so that you can double jump with animation and then prevent phasing through this platform when standing still. All right, tune in next time.